Hello. Welcome back to the Connected Wellness Podcast. I am Rachel Ann. I'm here with lovely Marianne and our lovely our lovely special guest, Anne. All of the Anns here. And we are so passionate about wellness.
Here in this podcast, we look at the ways our physical, emotional, and spiritual health is all connected and how we can take better care of our whole selves holistically so we can live our best lives. We're really excited that you're here with us on the journey. Welcome to episode 31 of the podcast.
Yeah! We're in the 30s. I don't understand.
How did I not realize that our guest is another Anne? That we're like a trio of ants. I didn't even put that together till you said it. So this is very exciting. I don't know why we waited so long to have a third Anne, but welcome Anne to the podcast.
Welcome,
we're so
Anne.
excited to have you.
Thank you.
So let me tell you a little bit about Anne and why we are excited to talk to her today. So I am lucky enough to have met you, I think 7-ish years ago. Is that when you came to Pittsburgh?
I think so.
Crazy. That is crazy. So yeah, she came to Pittsburgh for school because Anne is originally from Philly, the other side of Pennsylvania. It's fine. I forgive you for that. But she came to Pittsburgh, and now though she left us, and she is a physical therapy student at Duke University in North Carolina. And she'll be done in just a few months. So we wanted to talk to Anne. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
About fitness and getting started with fitness and the importance of body movement, right, for our wellness journeys. And I know, Anne, you're passionate about that. And we had an amazing time working out together.
Yes.
And we need to do that again.
We sure do.
Yeah, so super excited to chat about that. So again, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Oh, yay.
So we got to start before we ask you all about your background and your fitness stuff. We got to talk about wellness wins. Rachel, why don't you start us off?
Okay, cool. So my wellness win is that I recently made 2 purchases that are going to just really enhance my overall wellness. I bought a walking pad, which, for those of you who are not on social media, a walking pad, it's basically like a treadmill, but it doesn't have the upper part of it. It's just the bottom part with the moving track and everything. And you can put it under a desk. And I am so excited to do this because there are some days I do not hit, my step goal. I just upped my step goal to 16,000 steps a day. And I love that number. It's really I'm noticing really good results with that. But there's some days where I don't do that. And if y'all are in New York City, we just had a snowstorm, 2 actually. And I was like, this is not cute. I'm not going outside. So the walking pad, super helpful for those moments. And then another really fun purchase that I made is a standing desk, and it's coming in today. And I am like, yes, girl, we are not going to be sitting for so many hours the whole time. We can put our walking pad under our desk. We can stand and we can just type away, and it's going to be great. So as you can tell by my very cheesy enthusiasm, I am so excited for these things. So that's my wellness win.
And that's perfect timing as we talk about movement today.
Yeah.
So that's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
I was like, I'm going to go with a movement wellness one. There's a lot of wellness wins I could go through, which praise the Lord, right? We have wellness wins we can be excited about. I was like, let's go with the idea of movement for today. So that's what's happening in Rachel's world that I'm really excited about.
I like it. How about you, Anne?
So biggest win for me is I'm in clinical number 3 of 3 for my PT program, and I just made it halfway. So 6 weeks down, 6 weeks to go, and then I'm just got to pass my boards and I'm graduated. So I'm very excited. The end is in sight. So that's my biggest win for now.
I love it.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Yeah. Do you want to share with us where you're doing this clinical number 3?
Of course. So I am in Salt Lake City in Utah. I have no connections here. I just kind of found a clinic that I thought I would learn a lot from in a population I've never really worked with. And I just put myself out there, and here I am, halfway done.
That's a win too, that kind of
Truly.
taking a leap, getting out of your comfort zone. Yeah. So good for you. And you're surviving and thriving,
Yes.
I think, probably, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. You go, girl.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'll pick one for me. Okay, so a little bit ago, we went on a little weekend trip to Nashville for Chris's birthday. And usually I'm like a hyper planner. You guys probably know that about me. I have everything planned out, everything like Googled ahead of time. But we ended up doing a lot of things spontaneously, where we would just like hear about something and be like, "Ooh, that sounds cool," or "Let's, do this. Let's go there." Canceled a dinner reservation because we found like ridiculously amazing snacks somewhere else. So just like little things like that. It was kind of fun to be spontaneous. It made me want to do it
Wow.
more often. So I think I'm going to consider that my win.
Yes.
That is so cool. Marion, that is
Huge win.
huge.
Huge.
Yeah,
Girl.
for me especially. Yeah.
Yes. For us anxious people and for us, like, we must know what the agenda is to be like, let's throw the agenda out the window. Let's be spontaneous and fun.
Yeah. Can I
Love
tell
that.
you that it's one benefit of social media? Like, as much as I sometimes get so annoyed that they always know what you're doing and where you are and what you're looking at, stuff pops up and it's like, oh, you're in Nashville. Well, did you know about this? Did you know about that? So we like got some cool stuff that way. And this is not the first time that I'm kind of like, thank you for tracking me, because now I know about something I didn't know about before. So there are benefits to, the ever present, yes, internet or whatever. But yeah, it was fun.
That's
fun.
true. That's a very, very good point.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, Anns. Good job with our wellness wins.
Yay. All right. So fitness. And we have to ask, like, can we start with, like, what started you getting into fitness? Was it physical therapy, or were you already interested in it and then you went, towards the physical therapy route, or what?
So I think, well, starting from the very beginning, I was never really an athlete. I played basketball for like a good chunk of my like childhood growing up, but I didn't really stick with it. So I wouldn't say that catapulted me into it. And then throughout high school, I lost any sort of athletic activity that I was doing. I went to college, and then we know what happens in college. You get freshman 15, you hear all of these things. And then I just found myself not really feeling comfortable in my body anymore, which isn't something that I had truly experienced until that point, which thank God for. But I was just not feeling like, it was like my body was one thing and then my soul was like, I was separate. So I was like, okay, I want these two things to come back together. So I was like, I need to just start to take care of myself a little bit. So I started how a lot of people I've talked to have started Pinterest workouts. I would look things up. I would be like, okay, I have a gym downstairs. Let me just like go downstairs and play around a little bit. And I would do a little bit. And then it wasn't until I did a mission trip in Bolivia where I was shadowing a PT just like out of nowhere, no experience with physical therapy up until that point, where I was like, there's so much beauty in the ability to use your own body to heal. And I was already kind of on that journey. So that both catapulted me towards physical therapy, but also towards really diving into like fitness and wellness and everything that you guys talk about here. And that kind of, it all just grew from there. So
yeah,
that's where I started.
Oh, I love that.
so
I didn't know it
incredible.
was on your mission trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this physical therapist know what they've done? Like what seed they planted in your
Honestly,
life?
they don't. I don't really keep in touch with her. I didn't even know I was going to be shadowing her. She was just the only healthcare person there. And I was like, okay, I'll hang out with you. And it just has stuck with me. I wrote essays about her. I like everything.
Wow.
You may need to, reconnect.
You're right.
Yeah. Maybe when you graduate, that would be like a cool thing to do. Yeah.
Be like, you
That's
inspired this.
Yeah. She trust me, she would love that. That's like
You're right.
huge to know what an impact you've had on someone. And when you're doing amazing things and it all started with you shadowing her, like that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Wow.
So Pinterest workouts.
Yes.
Get strength, cardio, a little bit of both. What was it?
So I was just kind of so the gym that was most available to me was one that had like 1 to 10 pound dumbbells. And I just would look up like 15-minute workout because that's all I really felt like I could give. I was just like, okay, 15-minute workout. And I would just try it. It was mostly strength because I don't know what sparked it in me, but from the beginning, that has been like my like number one thing. So
Mm.
I would just literally do the same workout every day when I was starting because I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. I didn't know any better, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm moving, and that's all that matters. And then cardio
Mm.
in my head was just like, I'll just hop on this machine for like until I can't do it anymore. So that's kind of
Mm.
where I started. I was like, Pinterest could be for exercises I've never really seen or done or heard of before, and then I'll just use the machines.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so incredible. I love that you also mentioned that you want to use your own body to like help it heal and process. I don't know, there's something very natural and holistic about that that is very like reassuring and kind of eliminates barriers of like, oh,
Mhm.
you need to have all this fancy equipment or you need
Mm-hmm.
to like spend thousands of dollars to begin your journey. You're like, no, like me and my body, we're going to do it together. And we're
Mm-hmm.
going to start off real simple in a way that works for me, and it seems like it really grew into a really big passion of yours. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really beautiful way to have that.
And I do want to say it didn't, I was not aware of that fact when I was like starting off. I think I just was put in a situation where I was living in a freshman dorm and there was a gym right downstairs. So I was just kind of doing what was around me. But
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm.
that for other people starting off that I've talked to, it's hard to feel like I'm not, maybe if I work out from home, I'm not doing enough, or if I just do this like 10-minute video, like I'm not pushing myself hard enough. People get gym memberships, people are paying for classes, all of this stuff. So
Mm.
I was thankful I was in a situation where, because I was in school, I had those resources already. But I know, but if I
Mm.
was not in that situation, it would have been so much harder for me to feel like what I was doing was enough, because starting off on that journey is very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not,
Mm.
it's, I definitely wasn't recognizing that, okay, I'm just going to listen to my body. But I think reflecting on it, that's just, that's just where I was starting because it's all I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Can I say you just used the word enough multiple times, right? Like I don't know if I'm doing enough, or if I
Mm-hmm.
don't work out more than 10 minutes, is that enough? And this was one of the things I wanted to bring up, especially because we just did 2 episodes about this idea of am I enough, right? So
Mm-hmm.
many of us have this problem. Exercise is just one of the many things that I feel like I'm not
Mhm.
doing enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. So, how can we overcome that? Because especially if someone who is
Mm.
just starting out on a fitness journey, it can be so like so much pressure, so intimidating to think I have to be able to do an hour, strength training workout. I have to be able to do exactly what that Instagram influencer does, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to make any sort of progress. So, like, I personally feel like we need to get that statement out of our minds that, am I doing enough? And like, just
Yeah.
do something. So, I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
you think about that.
Mm.
I think something that I have been trying to hold myself to throughout my whole fitness journey has been only compete with yourself. And I think that with what you're mentioning with social media and influencers and workouts and all of these things becoming so big nowadays, it's so hard to see those things and then remember that you should only be working, it's just you and you, that's all that
Mm.
matters. So like you could be seeing somebody that's like, okay, I wake up in the morning and I run for an hour, and then after work I'll go to the gym and I'll lift and I'll do this and I'll do that. And like it's hard to see that stuff and be like, okay, I have 10 minutes in the morning and I'm going to use that 10 minutes to do some yoga, or I'm going to use that 10 minutes to just go for a walk outside. And I think when you set the standard as yourself, you just want to compete with that. So for example, if last week I wasn't waking up 10 minutes early and I wasn't doing yoga and all of those things, then that's a huge win. So
Mm.
I think we have to find the line between using others for inspiration and then setting them as the standard, because I don't think those two things
Mm.
go together.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think that we need to have grace with ourselves and be like, I'm taking this decision to do this for myself, and that's what matters. It's not about am
Mm.
I doing enough, because the fact that I'm doing it at all is a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And like, I think we forget that those influencers and people who are like really experienced in all of that, they had a starting point. their
Mhm.
starting point probably looked very similar to mine, Marianne's, Anne's, like starting point of fitness. Like not many people start and say, I'm going to like, this is going to be the start of a brand new lifestyle for me that's going to drastically change my entire life forever and ever. And I'm going to like go from 0 minutes of exercise to like 5 hours tomorrow. Like that's usually not
Mhm.
how it works. And that idea of competing with yourself, I've never heard it explained like that. Like I've heard like competing with myself as like who I am yesterday is not who I am today. I'm going to be better. And there's a sense of like tough or roughness that comes with it. And I have multiple feelings about that. But the way that you explain competing with yourself is like kind of partnering with your body and saying, we're in
Mhm.
this together. Let's see how we can continue this journey of care and movement and exercise in a way that feels really, really good. And I'm not comparing myself to somebody else. I'm really only just, I'm comparing me to me, and I'm already doing a really great job and not
Mhm.
in a way that is pressure inducing. So I really love that mentality. I think that's really healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've been doing this journey for like 3 years now, my health and fitness journey. And I've realized with myself, it's kind of like an ebb and flow. So there are times where I'm like really, pushing myself to make progress. Like I want to get stronger. I want to, see that I can lift more weight doing this specific thing. And then there are other times where I don't really know why, but the motivation wanes and I just like focus on maintenance. Like if I just make sure I
Mm.
keep prioritizing movement every day, that's where I'm at right now. So I don't know if it's a winter thing. I don't know, what it is
Mm,
exactly, but sometimes I
maybe.
feel bad about that. But I've noticed it's again this like cycle. And so, what do you think? Like, do we always have to have a goal? Do we always have to be progressing? Or can the goal itself be movement? And is there a benefit
Mm,
to that in and of
that's a
itself?
good question. Yeah.
So the biggest thing that I think has helped me is just remembering that this isn't just a phase that I'm going through. It's not, I didn't just decide, okay, for the next month, I'm going to be like very fit. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to do all these things. I didn't decide that. And I think that when we're all starting on this journey, the hope is to continue doing it for as long as we're able to.
Mm-hmm.
So like Rachel's saying, like you had mentioned, like fitness is a lifestyle. It's not just a short temporary thing. So I think when we remember that, that's what allows us to push towards goals that don't have to be specific to running a marathon or anything crazy, getting
Mm,
stronger. So I think if the goal is just I want to keep doing this for as long as I can do this, then that helps give you the grace throughout the journey that gives you that pushes you towards your goals. So
Mm-hmm.
I
mm,
think recognizing that it's a lifestyle allows the grace to come in, which ultimately allows the success to come in the end. Because I think that depending on the type of person you are, having a goal is not a bad thing. If you constantly need something to be working towards, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think recognizing that there doesn't always have to be a grand end point
Mm-hmm.
because this is just a lifestyle that we want to adopt, then
mm,
that just allows for a lot more relaxation and also enjoyment because I think that
mm.
sometimes we forget that fitness is also enjoyable. Like we need to find things within that realm that
Yeah.
we enjoy so that we can keep doing it. It's not somebody's not forcing us through it, I hope,
Mm,
you know?
mm.
That's huge. The word enjoyment. I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people put enjoyment and exercise in the same
Nope.
category. So yeah, that is like a big one. You know what you reminded me of? Like I just want to do this as long as possible and continue to enjoy it. It's almost like sorry, we just had Valentine's Day. I'm just going to have to use this as an example, but
Go
it's almost
go
like
for it.
a relationship, right? Like
Mm,
you don't okay, so I already got married obviously, right? So that's if that's the end goal, right? Then okay, I got married. But now like you're not going to keep having like these grand goals. Like it's not
mm,
like get super married or like, get extra married. Like I'm already married. I'm in this relationship. Like I want to just enjoy it in a healthy manner, right? And have it be
mm,
as good as it can be for as long as possible. So I kind of think that's like what you're saying, the same thing. Like if I don't want to run a marathon. I'm not going to do a, weightlifting competition. Like I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I just want my body to be healthy in an enjoyable manner, right? So I don't know. To me, that makes sense, but my mind is always in love mode. I'm sorry. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. Yeah.
For
That
sure
does
makes
make a lot of
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
I love
And I
that
think,
analogy. Hmm.
yeah, I think just having the goal to feel good is a huge goal. Like sometimes, like you're
Mm,
saying, like the waves, I go through those waves all the time. And I think it's very normal to go through those waves. And that goes into the whole discussion of motivation. But
mm,
the waves are very normal because if you're every single day you are just so excited to move your body and all of those things, then more power to you. But I don't think that that's very realistic. So
Mm,
I think the strength that comes from pushing yourself when you're at the bottom of a wave sometime, that could be the difference between feeling good and not feeling good. So if you wake
mm.
up one day and you're like, I really don't want to do this workout that I had planned, all I could do today is maybe go for a walk,
mhm.
and then you go for your walk and you feel good, then that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Mm.
win in and of itself.
Mm, that makes me think about things to keep in mind when your motivation is low. I don't know, you kind of alluded to this, but I'd be curious if you have more like practical or tangible ideas of what do you do when you feel not that motivated? Or what would you recommend to somebody if they're saying, girl, I don't feel that motivated right now. What should I do? Are there certain things we should keep in mind?
So I think the number one thing that came to mind is I've been hearing so much this conversation of motivation versus discipline and how those things are different,
Mm,
and sometimes you have to be more disciplined to get things done rather than just relying on motivation, because I do see how if we just rely on motivation then we could never get anything done. So I
yeah.
think working to strengthen discipline just as much as we're able to listen to, okay, I'm not feeling motivated today, but I don't think that not feeling motivated should equal I'm not going to do it. So I think
Mm,
I've noticed that throughout this journey for me, I have become a lot more in tune with myself. And whenever I do think I'm not feeling it today, I sit with myself and I'm like, okay, am I not feeling it because my body is tired? Am I not feeling it because I went too hard yesterday? Am I not feeling it for this and that, like these reasons? Or am I just lazy? Am I just,
mm,
you know? So I think giving yourself a second to reflect and just be like, okay, can I do this, or will it just not be good for me at this time? And I think recognizing those two separate things will be huge. And then if you just feel like your motivation is low because you're just lazy that day, I would say just set yourself up for success. And this has
mm,
been huge for me. So just yesterday I woke up in the morning. I was supposed to go to the gym in the morning and I was like, I am not doing this. So I got ready for work and I got in the car, and like as I was leaving to go to work, I was like, let me just bring my like workout shoes with me, just put them in the car, see what happens. Like maybe as the day goes on, I'll feel better, I'll feel more ready. And then all I could think about as the day was ending was like, I'm going to get a good workout in. And if I didn't have my shoes with me, it's such a small thing, but
mm.
if I didn't have my shoes with me, I would have gone home and then I would have convinced myself,
Yeah.
let's just try this again tomorrow. So I think those little
Yeah.
things where you're just like, maybe I'm not feeling motivated, but maybe 2 hours from now me will feel motivated, or maybe in a
Mm,
like, you know. So
Yeah.
I think taking
mm,
those little steps towards being like, I'm gonna give myself a chance to like recognize if I could do this later instead of just calling it off from the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I like that you added a reflection piece. So it's like, okay, I'm not feeling motivated. Why? What's going on? Did I go too hard yesterday? Do I have an injury? Because then, yeah, I need to like sit down for a little bit.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
oh, or maybe it's just like, I really just don't want to today. I'm not feeling it. And then creating opportunities for you to have some type of movement. And even if it looks different than it did yesterday, you're still
Mhm.
doing something today. So I love that approach. It's a very growth mindset, not to sound like a coach, but I am one. So here we go. It's a very growth mindset approach that I think is really healthy.
I think it's about flexibility. Like you mentioned, a couple of
Mm,
things where
Oh
that's like the
yeah.
key. If you're disciplined enough to do something, right, and you're not rigid, then that's where I think you can get through some of those motivation lapses or whatever. So, I used to
Mm.
be, and I think this was one of my wins, months ago, is that I used to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing on Monday. This is what I'm doing on Tuesday. This is what I'm doing on Wednesday, and then sometimes I'd be like, ugh, I really don't want to do this. And old me would be like, well, it's all or nothing, right? If I'm not going to do the workout that I had
Mm.
planned, like, screw it, I'm going to go sit on the couch for the next 4 hours, right? And that's not good, at all.
Yeah.
So I started to be like, okay, I don't want to do this, but like, yeah, maybe I want to take a walk. Like, it's nice out. Maybe I want to do,
Mm.
this YouTube video that I like instead of doing this. So that's been for me the key. If you can stay consistent if you allow yourself to be flexible. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes, like, I'll just be totally honest with you, I don't want to do anything, so I literally will just like walk in place, while either watching something or listening to
I do the
something.
same
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll just stand
Totally
up
have
and
done
start
that.
jumping.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, let me just pretend I'm jump roping.
Yeah.
And I'll just like air
Yeah.
jump rope. Yeah.
And
Oh my
sometimes
god,
when
thank
you
you for
start
saying that.
the movement, yeah, then you like want to do other movements, like, as long as you start. But
Yeah.
because of the weather here, I can't get outside and take a walk very
Mhm.
often. And I really hate, I'm sorry, I know you're excited about your walking pad, Rachel, but I hate like machines. We have an elliptical machine that I haven't touched in years. I don't know, something about it. I hate it. So I will just walk in place. I'll just like start like,
Yeah.
doing some sort of movement with my
Mhm.
arms, and like I
Yeah.
feel so much better. And it was not nothing, it was something. And the next day I can get
Yeah.
back to what I originally had planned. But yeah, flexibility, y'all, that's
Ah.
the key. Like, don't be rigid,
Yeah.
because if you're all or nothing, that's like, that mindset is so unhealthy and not going to help you make progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think
Mm.
that if that's a huge kind of going back to the enjoyment aspect of it, I think that if you find yourself in a cycle where you're just like, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to do it tomorrow. I don't want to do it the next day. Like, but you're kind of feeling like you signed up for this program or whatever you're looking at, or you found this week long Pinterest schedule or something, and you're just like, I am not feeling this. And you find yourself feeling that consistently, like
Hmm.
as you go through the program. I think that that's a time to also do some more reflection and be like, what other
Yeah.
ways can I experiment with moving my body until I find what works for me? So there's like
Yeah.
the two big avenues of like strength training and cardio. And I think that sometimes
Mm.
we think that it has to be one or the other. Sometimes we think that we have to love both. But I think that it is so valuable to take some time as you're starting the journey to experiment and be like, okay, I did a strength workout today and I loved it. Or I signed up for this free Pilates class and it was not my jam. And
Mm.
I think that is not a waste of time to be like, this is a green flag, this is a red one. I'm not liking this and I'm
Hmm.
liking this a lot. Because then that will help
Mm.
set you up for success as you move forward to be like, maybe if I'm not feeling this workout today, I'll do what I love, which is yoga, for
Mm.
example, or something like that.
Hmm.
Mm, wow, you have agency in your exercise and in your movements, because as you're saying that, I was like, oh, you can choose what you want to do. You don't have to like have this thing imposed on you, like, I must work out, it must look this way, right? It's kind of perfectionistic to be like, oh, I have to do it every day, it's all or nothing, that mentality, versus like, I just want to be consistent in my movement every day. That to me it's much more manageable, and you have more agency to decide what that looks like. So that's going to probably make it more enjoyable because I get to decide what it is, versus this thing's being imposed on me that I have to do, and there's serious repercussions, and I'm going to be so angry with myself and all of that. It's very freeing.
But I think
Yeah.
the other side of that is some people feel like they can't make those decisions. Like, that if they don't have structure,
Mm,
they are just kind of going to do nothing. I don't know if
mm,
you guys can relate to that. So I guess we need a balance, like, depending on how you
mm,
are. If you're someone that needs structure, great. There's like millions of YouTube channels that will give you a weekly workout schedule. But just know that,
yeah.
okay, if you see Tuesday's workout and you're like, then that's okay. Just do something else and get back to it on Wednesday. So I think we can have a balance between that structure
Oh yeah.
and the
Mm,
flexibility. Yeah.
Mm. You did mention, Anne, about like strength versus cardio. As somebody who, I don't know if I'm starting my fitness journey or not. I don't know. I'm just kind of here doing it. But I would love to hear your thoughts because I really don't be doing strength like that. I'm just like, okay, I'll do cardio, maybe a strength machine here and there. I'm kind of intimidated by the super brolic people at the gym. So I'm gonna just stay on my elliptical. But strength versus cardio, do you have thoughts on that? Is like, if I'm just starting out, should I go for one as opposed to the other? Wreck my life. What should I do?
So I am just gonna say I'm very biased because I love strength training. I love the feeling of empowerment of like just like getting stronger every day. But I recognize that that's not everybody's cup of tea. So I think part of it is what we've been talking about like if you're more of a cardio person, if you're more motivated by heart health and improving that and pushing your heart rate and sweating and all of that, then that is beautiful. If you're motivated by yesterday I lifted 10 pounds, next week I want to lift 15 pounds, for example, then that's just as amazing. But I think that it's important to kind of combine them sometimes. So I think that if
Hmm.
if you are just in a cardio phase, then I think maybe doing cardio workouts that could incorporate maybe body weight strength, and it could kind
Mm.
of trick your brain into being like, I'm doing all these squats, but I have no weight in my hand and my heart rate is getting up and this feels great. But I think scientifically speaking, like strengthening muscles is just so good for us, good for your bones, for your joints, for your ligaments. And I think that sometimes when we get so into the cardio mindset and sometimes even like losing weight and like that becomes a
Mm.
huge goal, I think people think that cardio is the only way to do that. And
Mm.
then they aren't able to recognize the benefits of building muscle and how that translates to weight loss as well. And I know weight loss isn't really what we were talking about, but I think there's like this misconception that cardio equals weight loss and strength equals weight gain in that way.
Mm.
So I think just being open to experimenting with strengthening our body, and it doesn't have to look like being a bodybuilder. It could just be as simple as going out and buying 5-pound dumbbells and incorporating that into the things we already do, you
Hmm.
know.
Wow. I feel you on that in the sense that I totally have heard that if you want to lose weight, you do cardio. If you want to gain weight, you do the strength training. I was like, I'm not trying to gain weight right now. I'm actually trying to lose some pounds. My joints, they're really stressed out by the happy married weight that I have. So let's knock off a few pounds. So I've been super heavy on the cardio piece, but I'm actually right now in physical therapy. So I love y'all physical therapists. Thank you for everything that you do in the occupation. And a lot of it is strength training. I hurt my knee, and he was like, yeah, we just need to do a lot of like different strength exercises for your hip, your thigh, your knee, your shins, your ankle. I have plantar fasciitis. I don't know if I said that right. So then other specific parts of my foot. So he's like, yeah, it's all just strength building. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I just do all these really intricate exercises that are just to build the strength for those parts of my body. And I leave PT twice a week feeling so sore, way more sore than I did when I left the gym doing my mostly cardio. So I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. And like, I think we're building the muscles here. So I appreciate you breaking that down. For someone like me who I've just heard so many things, I don't know what's real, what's not real anymore. I appreciate you breaking it down in a really simple way.
Yeah. And I think if the goal is weight loss, then cardio is a huge part of that. But I think I just want to mention that, just going to nerd out on us for a second, that when we build muscle, that is what allows for the sustainability of the changes that we're trying to make. So building muscle will
Mm.
increase our metabolism. So the more muscle that you have, the more energy your body has to break down the nutrients that we're giving it. So that's why you see when
Huh.
you start to build more muscle, you can eat a lot more and feel like look and feel the same because your body is strengthening, your muscles are growing, so you're feeding it more, and those bigger muscles are able to break down those calories that we're eating because that's what they do.
Hmm.
So I think that
Mm.
for weight loss, initially cardio is very important to just initiate that process. But for sustainability, I think strength training and building that muscle is a huge factor that sometimes we forget.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So good.
So let me also add, as the elder in this group, strength training is super important as your body gets older for, bone density, for just like making sure that you stay healthy and active as God willing, I live another, half of my life or something. So yeah, I think it's super important for many reasons, and weight loss is just one of the benefits. But I love that you mentioned empowerment, because that is what I noticed. I was never interested in strength training. It was only when I was on my weight loss journey that I was kind of like, you know what, I want to try adding something to what's going on. And I started strength training, and I had no idea. This is the thing I wanted to ask you. Like, I did meet with a trainer of just a few times to set up my home workouts. But if I hadn't met with him, I would have been lifting like half of the weights that I was, that he started me off. Cause I don't know, like, you know what I mean? We don't know what we're supposed to do. And how do we make sure that we don't hurt ourselves? Because I feel like there's a good chance that if you're trying to lift heavy because, you want to build strength, and you're not doing it right, and you don't know exactly how heavy you should be lifting, you are a physical therapist, I'm sure health and, not getting injured is a big goal of yours, right, for your patients. So how do we make sure, like, we don't all have the ability to meet with a trainer?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think that it's just as important to find the exercises as it is to spend time with your body and be like, okay, this exercise is geared towards my delts. What are my delts? Where are my delts? Like, not everybody knows that deltoids are these shoulder muscles right here. So I think that if when you're looking up the exercises, if you don't have access to a trainer, like you're saying, I think it is very valuable to take a second and be like, okay, this exercise is geared towards this muscle. Where is that muscle on my body? Where should I be feeling it when I'm doing the exercise? Am I feeling it there? If I'm not feeling it there, then something needs to be adjusted, and going from there. And I know you mentioned that if you didn't start with a trainer, you would have probably been lifting half the weight. And to me, that doesn't feel like such a bad thing, because you want to make sure that you're doing it safely, because not a lot of these like a lot of these exercises are kind of hard. They're not natural. You have to like the difference of having your pinkies up versus your pinkies down will change what muscle is working. Like, it's a lot more complex. So I think if you just give yourself an extra minute to be like, okay, this exercise is supposed to target the back of my leg. Am I feeling it in my lower back? Why am I feeling it there? And then playing around with how your form looks in front of a mirror, looking at how you look versus your resource, looking at multiple resources that teach you how to do the exercise. I know it sounds like a very involved process, but when you're starting off, it's super important to do that, because you have to build a good foundation of knowing your body, knowing your muscles, knowing what you're working, in order to grow from there, and then get to what you're saying, a place where you're like actually truly pushing yourself and challenging your body.
Yeah, and I liked your starting to like that. Okay, just even 5 pounds, it could be a great start. So I'm just gonna plug Five Below because if anyone wants
Oh
to
yeah.
start and doesn't want to spend a lot of money, you can get up through, like, I want to say 10-pound dumbbells, for $5 a piece, and I have not found that price anywhere. Also, I got much heavier weights on Facebook Marketplace, for like half the price of new. Highly recommend. So there are ways to save a little bit of money, because it is expensive, whether you join a gym,
Yeah.
whether you try to get it at home. You mentioned body weight exercises. So that's a great place to start. If you're not sure how you feel about strength, just look up different body weight exercises, right? Planks, squats, millions of variations of all of those that you could do and still be getting a great strength workout without having to do anything. And there's heavy stuff in your house,
Yeah.
guys. Like, you can just pick up some books,
Yeah.
some bottles, some cans, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of ways around it, of having to buy something. You could still get started. Yeah.
Yeah. And we underestimate the, like, going back to empowerment, like how empowering it is to do your first push up to be like, I am pushing my own body weight up off of this ground right now.
Mm,
So I think
yeah.
sometimes we're like, I'm just doing body weight exercises,
Mm.
but that's not, it's not, there's no just there. Like our
Mm,
bodies are heavy. We're carrying organs and bones and muscles and everything. Like the fact that you're able to squat down, squat back up, push up, like anything body weight has always been so inspiring to me because that's hard. Like it's hard to
mm,
do those
Mhm.
things. So I think if that's where you're starting, and COVID was a huge blessing because for the fitness community, because videos and workouts and at home everything has just like rocketed since then. So yeah, I completely agree that body weight is just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
mm,
Actually,
mm.
I'll share with you that it's currently a goal to do like some proper push-ups for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm working on that. I like found this thing that was like, okay, start with a 60-second plank and then, do a negative push-up. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then something about like stacking books and whatever. So, yeah, stay
Hmm.
tuned.
Mm.
I'll update you in a few
You
months
got
how
this.
my yeah. Cuz my body weight push-up is going to be much harder than your body weight push-up. And so let me tell you.
But the muscles are building.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
matters. So I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
That's an amazing goal.
Thanks.
Mm. Marianne, I know you're keeping track of time. Do we have time for one more question that I just thought
Yeah.
of, or do we have?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So something that I was thinking about while you were, I think Marianne was talking about how you can just use stuff at home. There was a time where I was using like soup cans as weights while I was like working out at home. And it made me think about, oh, I could like do some movement while I like walk from my bedroom to, the bathroom. And then while I'm flossing my teeth, maybe I can like do squats or something. Just thinking about really easy micro ways to incorporate working out or movement while I'm like doing other things. So I'd love to hear your thoughts of like, one, do you like recommend stuff like that? And then two, are there ways to implement like smaller movements throughout the day? Like, let's say you're on vacation and you don't have your usual schedule or usual workout gear like you would if you were at home, right? What are the ways we can still do things on a smaller scale?
So I'm definitely a huge proponent of that. I think that those I like how you called them like micro exercises. I like that. But like those micro bouts of working out, I think that does a lot for you mentally throughout the journey as well because you're like,
Mm,
okay, I did these micro workouts like 5 times throughout my day. Like I'm kind of feeling doing like a full workout. So
mm,
I think you're subconsciously just like building up yourself mentally to be like, okay, like I am doing this throughout my day. Maybe I'll be able to do it more and for longer. And it just like sets you up more to be able to push yourself because you're like, I could do this while I'm brushing my teeth. Like I can't imagine what I could do when I'm like full force focused on this.
Mhm.
So I think that
mm,
just for that one reason, even though there's a million reasons why that's amazing, that's a huge I'm a huge proponent for that. But
mm,
yeah, I think your second question about just how to make sure you're doing that when you're a little bit out of your element, I think that recognizing, going back to flexibility, recognizing that it doesn't have to look how we think it needs to look every single day. So if you're
mm,
on vacation and you're walking 10,000 steps a day, that's amazing. Because at
mm,
home, I'm so bad with steps. If I walk 10,000 steps, I'm like I am unstoppable. So I think just realizing that okay, I'm in a new area. Let me just take 10 minutes and do some body weight workouts, or let me if I
mm,
even if I can't do it, recognizing that when you go home, you'll get right back into it. So I think there's a point here where rest, so vacation, maybe you don't always have to be working out on vacation. Maybe vacation is
mm,
vacation, like it's allowed to be that, because everything we've been talking about is how to set yourself up for success to make this a long-term thing. So if you have a week where you're just enjoying time with your husband or your family or yourself or your kids, and your exercising is not at the top of your mind,
mm,
just remembering and giving yourself grace that I'm going to go home and I'm going to get back into it and it's going to be fine.
Mhm.
If I'm going
yeah.
to eat what I want to eat because I'm enjoying myself right now,
Mhm.
So
Mm,
I think we have to find a good balance between pushing ourselves and also being like it's okay. Like, I'm okay if I just enjoy
Mhm.
myself right now. I don't have to find a way to exercise every second that I can, because then we drive
Mm,
ourselves crazy and we'll lose why we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
That's so good. Thanks.
Walking on the beach is my favorite though during vacation.
And it's hard. It's like an
Yeah.
unstable
That's
Yeah.
like my
surface, you
favorite
know?
like thing, not because of exercise, just because I like walking on the beach. But
Yeah.
I'll just throw out there that when we were just in Mexico in December, I was definitely dancing on the balcony. That was some of my
I
vacation
love it.
exercise. Yeah. While Chris,
Yeah.
of course, was just watching me and recording because that's Chris. And but yeah, so there are many ways, but I do love that reminder that like sometimes you need to give yourself a
Mm,
break, and that is way
yeah.
more sustainable than making sure that I'm on, 365 days a year. So yeah, thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. I think, wow, you've given us a lot to be thinking about. I personally am feeling more like empowered to do more strength based stuff and realizing that that is a helpful part of my weight loss journey. It's not a sidetrack, it's not a side avenue. It is part of the main highway of my journey. And we would love to hear from y'all in the comments. Let us know any questions that you have for Anne or things that you're wondering about when it comes to your own fitness journey, and how we can be supporting you in that. And do you have any way for people to get in touch with you, like an Instagram or an email or anything?
You could reach out to me on Instagram. I do have a fitness page. It's fit. Okay, let me see. Fit Egyptian. Everybody says it wrong, so I'm just gonna spell it out. FITEGYPTIANNE. So like my name is at the end, so it's like a play on words.
Well, how would you pronounce
Got
it?
it.
People have just said like fit Egyptian, fit Egypt, and like I don't.
I always had a
I've
French
heard it
vibe
all.
to it. Fit
Me
Egyptian.
too.
That's
That's what
how
I would
like I
think.
say it. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know what you intended, but
Yeah.
either way, obviously we'll put the actual handle,
Yes.
so you don't have to figure out what exactly is going on here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will thank you, Anne, for the pronunciation of your Instagram. We will put that below. So if you want to reach out to Anne, please, please, please do so. If you have questions for us on the podcast, you can reach out to us on Instagram at Connected Wellness Podcast. We're also on Facebook at Connected Wellness Podcast on Facebook. You can also email us, connectedwellnesspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to Marianne personally, she's on Instagram at Wabasaba. If you want to reach out to me personally, I'm also on Instagram at Real with Rachel Ann. And those are all the ways you can get all the support and resources that you need. Yeah, and without further ado, I'll hand it over to Marianne.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Anne, again for being here, and good luck as you finish out this year.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
can't wait till you're real doctor of physical therapy.
So
Me neither.
close.
Yeah, you got this. You got this. Hang in there. But yeah, thank you, everyone. And until next time, be well.
Be well, everybody. Bye.
Bye.